Hello, and welcome to the finale of African Battle Royale. Even if you've never seen another episode of the series, you can watch this one. You don't really have to have seen the previous episodes, because at the end of the last episode, all of the African countries basically got together in a giant meeting and agreed that alliances are completely not allowed. There had already been no alliances at the end of a major war in the last episode, so if you want to go see that, you can. But they all banned alliances, and essentially what this does is it resets relations again. So if you've seen other videos on my channel and you already know how the series works, then you can just watch this video from here without watching the rest of the series, because just know these countries are effectively starting from scratch. But with that, let's get right into it. Egypt will be uniting southeast. So Egypt and Sudan will be uniting with each other. They wanted to make an alliance, but alliances are banned, so they decided to unite with each other. Again, relations pretty much reset after the last episode, so they've been working towards better relations, and now they're united. Rwanda will be facing a rebellion, and this rebellion is from all of the northern people, as they have been annexed into Rwanda relatively recently, and they want out. They used to be a different country, but I'm trying to make this video accessible to people who are starting with this video, so just know that these people don't want to be part of Rwanda anymore, and this is going to spread to an area that in modern day is part of Tanzania, that was part of Tanzania in the series, but now doesn't want to be part of Rwanda anymore, and all of a sudden most of Rwanda doesn't want to be part of Rwanda, and finally Rwanda will start attacking the rebellions. And they'll have some success because Rwanda is a very powerful country in the series at this point. They've dealt fully with the western half of this southern rebellion and are pretty much dealing with the northern rebellion. But then things are going to get even worse. A massive Ethiopian rebellion takes place in Egypt, right as Egypt is trying to send troops to help Rwanda. And then following that, a massive Tunisian/Algerian rebellion starts taking place in the north of Egypt, or the northwest. And then I guess this is Egypt-Sudan, actually, because this is Sudanese territory. And Sudan starts demanding independence from the Union, but the Union wasn't built in a way where they could get independence later. For those of you who have actually seen the series, that's like the Somali-Tanzania Union was built in a way so that they could become independent. This union wasn't, and Egypt basically exerts more control over Sudan, which leads to Sudan rebelling from Egypt and pledging its allegiance to the rebels, like, throughout. Somalia is getting worried by this, so they will join, to try and quell the rebellions. They help Rwanda crush their rebellion, and they start helping, Egypt crush Sudan. And then out of nowhere, Morocco will actually join on the side of the rebellions, because they've obviously rebelled from a lot of different governments. And I say Morocco, I mean Madagascar. But anyway, they want rebellions to succeed, so they start helping out the rebellions. The Sudanese rebellion is getting quelled, and now this country is no longer Sudan, Egypt, it's just Egypt, as the Rwandan rebellion also gets crushed. And Tunisia is also going to get crushed before the rebels are arrested, and the rest of the rebellion doesn't need to be dealt with. And now Madagascar is regretting having joined this war, because it tries to pull out, but the other countries are like, nope, you join the war, you are going to suffer the consequences. And of course there's going to be like a huge guerrilla war, because that's Madagascar's whole thing, but it doesn't really matter. So Madagascar is now out, and Rwanda now has a coastline, and they start pumping money into their navy. Like, they got one port, and like half their military budget is now being spent on their navy. And they didn't decrease their army's budget, they just increased their navy's budget. And now everyone's looking at Rwanda. Morocco will be invading south. And a great war will be taking place between Morocco and Nigeria. And Nigeria is the stronger of these two countries in most senses. So although Morocco will have the early lead because they are the aggressor, and Nigeria wasn't really prepared for it since they were pretty cooperative in the previous episode, let's just say after Morocco has taken apart Nigeria, Nigeria will smash back, and they'll smash back hard. And Morocco was ready for this, so they're going to hold off pretty well. They're basically assuming that Nigeria will take longer to, or less time to basically tire out than Morocco will. And all of a sudden, a bunch of countries, specifically Rwanda, Egypt, and Congo, all offer to join the war on either side, whoever's willing to pay them more, basically, and they secretly have talked to each other and all agreed to do that. The first thing that happens is Morocco spends like half their military budget paying Rwanda, so that Rwanda joins on Morocco's side, and Rwanda will swiftly move into Nigeria. They have the strongest military on the continent right now, and they're showing it as they quickly capture all of Nigeria's territories that they took in the last episode from the CAR, and just taking a lot of Nigeria's territories. However, Morocco spent a lot of its military budget on that, and it's costing them dearly up north. Nigeria pays a modest fee to get Egypt on their side, and Egypt will start helping them out against Rwanda, and then Rwanda's like, hey, you weren't actually supposed to do that. You were just supposed to invade Morocco. And Egypt's like, well, yeah, but now they're my ally. And then Rwanda gets Congo to join their side. And so although Morocco is losing everything it's ever taken, and it's now about the same size it was at the start of this series, Sudan is going to be taken from Egypt fairly quickly, as Egypt is no longer very strong, and Egypt will very quickly basically get pushed to their core territory as they lose access to the west, and Morocco will start pushing back against Nigeria. Then, all of a sudden, Somalia will join the war against, or like, you see which side they're on. This helps out Egypt immensely as they retake the Nile, and from there retake all of this land. A Tunisian rebellion that's kind of in favor of Egypt, but also kind of not. I'll just make it dark purple, because now Morocco's going to try and invade into it. But anyways, Egypt and Nigeria are now basically cutting through and splitting Morocco from Rwanda and Congo. But at the same time, Somalia is starting to lose their access to Madagascar, and Madagascar rebels, so I'm going to make them a dark purple, because that's kind of the rebellion color, I guess. And now this war is taking over the whole continent, as Eswatini and I believe this is Botswana, join the blue side of this war to try and take some land from Congo, which they are doing successfully, helping out Somalia in the process. Then Madagascar lands troops in Somali territory, and everyone is surprised about that, and Tunisia is actually doing really well. And it's clear that something strange is happening, because these two countries are not strong at all. How's the purple team winning? And then a massive Sudanese rebellion takes place in the southern parts of Egypt that were being occupied, and the Red Alliance basically just let them go, as Egypt is now being overrun by purple. There are officially three sides to this war, the red side, the blue side, and the purple side. And quickly, these two guys switch to the purple side of the war, because they think it's more beneficial for them. And this war just got crazy. Unfortunately for Tunisia, their rebellion is not going to win, it's going to lose, in fact, like it just did. Morocco is also gaining against Nigeria. The Blue Alliance is doing the worst of the three, since they're the ones that are primarily suffering from the Purple Alliance existing. I mean, Somalia is also getting pushed back by the Red Alliance, and they will officially leave the war, officially to focus on themselves, but also just to get the rebels out of their territory. The Red Alliance refuses to leave, but the rebels will leave. Egypt is once again cut off from Nigeria, and after this, Nigeria swiftly leaves, and Egypt tries to leave, but they got overrun by the Sudanese rebellion, and Sudan is established as a state. This was a crazy war. Technically it's not over, but there's kind of like eventually a peace treaty between the sides. So, and I know that war created more states than it destroyed, so the rest of this video is probably going to go quite quickly. Rwanda will be invading northeast, but they're not the only ones. Very quickly, Somalia will join. So Rwanda and Somalia are invading into Sudan because they want to. They don't think Sudan deserves to exist, and Tunisia will stay suspiciously silent, as will Madagascar, as will everyone. Morocco will help them out, and all of a sudden Egypt is now back to Egypt, as the Sudanese territory has been gone. And they offer the Egyptian people the ability to have their own state, but the military just doesn't respect these three countries, and the militaries want to invade, and they want to put the people in the military, so they let it happen. And somewhere along the way, someone thought it would be really funny to make it just a straight line border, and then they analyzed it and realized it actually is one of the best scenarios that they could do, so they actually kept it. So now there's a straight line border. Morocco will be invading northeast. And again, they're not the only ones. It turns out there was a reason these guys let the rebellions win, and it was because they were just going to destroy them later. Here's Africa now. Rwanda will be invading west. And immediately Tunis is captured. And unfortunately for Morocco, no one really likes them. They've kind of become a pariah state, and so Nigeria will join against Morocco, and they will not be able to survive this. They are just, nah, okay. And Morocco is gone. Congo will be invading northeast. Rwanda is getting too powerful, and so every country in Africa will join a coalition against them. It is Rwanda versus everyone else, and they still believe they can win. Here's what they do. Their strategy is take out Somalia first, so you only have one front line. So they pretty much put their whole military into Somalia, they take out their Egyptian claims, and start moving down through into Sudan. Meanwhile, they're just getting wrecked as Nigeria starts invading through the Sahara with basically no resistance, and they just take like a whole bunch of Rwandan territory very quickly. Elsewhere, Rwanda is also losing on this front, but they still are confident they can win, because that wasn't very valuable territory. They just lost, and they've completely taken out Somalia. So now they can turn their attention westward. First thing they do, they take advantage of the fact that Tunisia actually likes them, and take that back. Then they take advantage of the fact that they are way better at invading the desert than Nigeria is, because they've actually prepared for it, and they'll take back the Sahara. Then they'll take advantage of the fact that these two countries don't really care, and make them leave the war by paying them. Then they'll take advantage of the fact that Madagascar is really weak, and take their land territory before making them leave the war. Now it's just Rwanda, and all of a sudden, Rwanda is winning this war, as they start invading, and unfortunately, Nigeria can't hold up. Nigeria will leave so that they can still live after the war, but Congo will not be so intelligent, instead fighting till the very last minute, and for once, finally being destroyed. Nigeria will be invading northwest, and I'll show you how this goes. And I'm going to let you see what happens. So here's what's going to happen. This is going to not be a border anymore, and that's it. Eswatini will be facing rebellion. And unfortunately for anyone who wanted any other country to win, Rwanda supports an uprising in Eswatini that's in favor of joining up with Rwanda, and the two will merge. And I think you can figure out what happens from here. Let's just see in what way it happens. Madagascar will invade southwest. So I'm just going to say they were invading into Rwanda, got invaded. Botswana will invade. So Botswana tries to invade Rwanda, loses the end. Rwanda is the winner. I honestly, in European Battle Royale, I thought it would be super fun for Vatican to win. This is another micro win. This time it was not planned. I didn't actually think Rwanda would win until their invasion of Morocco. At that point, it was like Rwanda's obviously going to win. Next time I upload might be the first episode of a new series. It might be a one-off video. But the next series I start will be hopefully a very interesting one that is different from this. It might, depending on how the series does and how Asian Battle Royale does, it might be Worldwide Battle Royale, which you should get hyped for anyway. I'm probably going to make that regardless. But with that, thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.